Boys Off the Podium, the world's #1 Olympics award-winning podcast, as we are back for another opening ceremony review. We're going to 2010 Vancouver. Finally, we're in the golden age of opening ceremonies. We have finally gotten one of these ones that we've been so desperate to get to, and I'm so pumped and excited to talk about this one, especially with the man who's actually near Vancouver. It's Colin Hilding. Colin, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in Vancouver twice, and I'm happy to say I was in this stadium only a couple of months ago. I got to see this cauldron only a couple months ago, so it's a flashback for me, but it's also fresh.
Did you get one of those dodgy tickets where basically you showed up 15 years late? So were you just like sitting in the stand going, oh, this isn't the Olympics. Oh, when's my ticket? Oh, shit. Whoops, I missed it by 15 years.
Oh, man, I got scammed here. Oh, I thought we got the Olympics again.
Yeah.
That bid didn't go through.
Got excited for that. Also joining us is a man who, if I'm not mistaken, watched this for the very first time and his very first ever Winter Olympics that he really paid attention to. It's Mr. Jared Lubick. Jared, welcome back.
Thank you. As someone who has been to Vancouver less than 2 times, I'm glad that I get to talk about it.
I might be the one on this podcast who's been to Vancouver the most, and I'm not even Canadian. I live down the road from it, basically. So I've been to Vancouver many a times. Beautiful city. But what an episode I'm looking forward to today, because we talk so much in this series when we're doing our opening ceremony reviews about we want to get one of these golden age of opening ceremonies, the 2000s or the early 2010s. And we always seem to get stuck with 70s and 90s and like, oh, even the 2020s. Finally, we might have rigged this slightly, but whatever, because we are finally here at one. And also, I know we did the other Canadian one. Well, we've done one of the 3 Canadian ones, obviously, with Calgary. But I want to say for Colin, the more exciting of the 3 Canadian ones that we can watch, because this one was in your lifetime. I mean, you were 4, I guess, when Calgary was on, but in your lifetime where you remember it vividly, and it's still very fresh, and also for all 3 of us. So from the home front, Colin, are you pumped to talk about this one? And what was the experience like rewatching this one? I don't know, maybe for the first time in 15 years.
Yeah, I mean, I probably haven't watched this all the way through in at least 15 years. But what was most fun about it is that there's so many things that you remember so vividly. And it's the things that I didn't remember, which I think a lot of the performers and stuff like that people outside of Canada are going to be familiar with is what people remember, because that's what gets all the media attention. But it's some of the other ones where I'm like, oh, they were there. There's one in particular. I'm like, they were there. And I'm like, I can't wait to talk about, just tell you some of the crazy stories about some of these performers that I guess nobody outside of Canada, especially nobody outside of Canada born outside of the last 25, 30 years is going to know. That's just incredible. So yeah, there's going to be some fun little trivia tidbits that I have.
Jared, for you, because this was the very first Winter Olympics that you really paid attention to. I don't know if you watched this live. Was this part of your viewing back then, or was this kind of the first time for you? And I mean, with all those questions there, also add on, what was it like revisiting this, sort of taking you back to your very first ever full Winter Olympic experience?
Yeah, I remember at the time I didn't watch the full ceremony live, but definitely caught kind of highlights in the day after. But this was so much better than I remembered. I think all of this like golden age of Olympic ceremonies buoyed by the fact that the current one's not so great. And this is just so perfect. Like, the thing that struck me, I suppose, the most is just how perfectly this blends like the special and visual effects.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Like, this is just like the perfect mix of both, doesn't overdo it either way. Like, it's such a nice sweet spot. And throughout, like, it looks better. It's just like the technology has improved, but this looks better.
I completely agree. And I'm glad you said that, because that was my biggest takeaway from this. It is that perfect blend of using digital and practical. And it fits so well. And I remember this vividly in the lead up to it, and kind of being so excited for it, because obviously with my love of all things Canada, I was so excited, probably outside of Sydney, that this was almost like not a home Olympics for me, but an Olympics that I was going to be as excited for as an Australia Olympics. And the one thing that I remember in the lead up to this feeling somewhat like skeptical and going like, oh, I don't know how that's going to work, is when they announced that this would be an indoor opening ceremony, because this is the only ever indoor opening ceremony Corsair in BC Place. But it kind of works, because I think the only thing that you lack from this is you don't have those amazing overhead shots from the helicopter, and the fireworks at the end maybe get a bit lost. But outside of that, everything about this just works. And I mean, it's sort of similar in a way to Paris, right? And the fact that, all the questions around, is this going to work? It's on a river, it's all this sort of stuff. And then ultimately, it was amazing. I think this ultimately is amazing. I mean, I watched this live, so excited for it. I loved every second of it when I watched it live. And this holds up amazingly. Like, this just really holds up. And I'm saying this now because I'm probably going to preempt it when we get to things like the cultural aspect of it. I think there's such a balance of all the aspects that we look at. We've talked about in the past about how there's like 5 minutes of cultural here, then this goes on forever, this goes on too short, whatever. This kind of balances it. And it baffles me that you read all the reviews from this. So many people were negative about this at the time. So many people hated it. So many people thought it was terrible. But I'd love them to do a retrospective review of it because I feel a lot of that came off the back of this was the first opening ceremony since Beijing, and everybody loved Beijing, and 2008 Beijing, of course. But yeah, I don't know. Colin, do you remember sort of the vibe in the lead up to this in Canada, and I guess the initial thoughts of this review, the ceremony once it did happen?
I mean, the lead up to it, I don't think that there was as big of a deal made, at least here, about the indoor venue because I mean, BC Place, yes, it's indoor, but you got the domed roof and everything. And, you'd had Grey Cups there and stuff like that. And I think holding it at nighttime is where you do lose a lot of that. I can only imagine this during the day would have looked even better because you would see like the natural light and everything coming through. But a lot of the negativity, this is actually kind of the first I've heard about it because, of course, being here in Canada, they weren't going to knock anything. Although I say that, but when they mentioned, a certain Georgian athlete, that caused enough controversy that every single sport that had anything go wrong for the first couple of days after this is like, oh, we shouldn't have done this. It's just a bad idea. But the opening ceremonies is like, I guess here at least, it was universally loved.
Well, it's interesting you say that because a lot of the negative reviews I'm reading here came from Canadian media. Toronto Star called it a unimaginably conceived and loosely executed spectacle that promised much and delivered little. I don't agree with that, but anyway. Ottawa's Citizen deemed it tasteful but dull, well-behaved and sometimes thoughtful. You've got Canada nailed. I mean, I don't even know what that means, but okay then. And then this, not Canadian, but the New York Times described it like New Year's Eve, but tasteful. A well-behaved New Year's Eve. Okay, that is a bit weird. I do love the Times columnist from where I lived in Victoria described the ceremony as moving and memorable. It's about as common and as well written as the Times columnist has ever written anything. So that kind of works out well. I mean, Jared, I'll say from our perspective in Australia, I don't know if you remembered it, that it was a new era for us in many ways because it was Channel 9. We had a different broadcaster for this. So they put a lot into it. I mean, it seems kind of, silly to say that now given that Channel 9 had the Olympics again. But I remember back in 2010, I mean, this was a big deal because I don't think in our lifetimes we had ever seen somebody else besides Channel 7 do the Olympics. But I also remember just there being this new wave of excitement around a lot of our athletes because, I mean, for example, I don't know if you spotted him, we'll get to it in the parade, but you see like a 15-year-old Scotty James there in the there. We had Britt Cox was also about 15 back then, but we had this new wave like Tora Bright, obviously, carried our flag, really prominent there. Lydia Lasser at the time. The man I'm wearing on my shirt was coming in as defending gold medalist, So, like, I mean, this was to me, I feel, the first real Winter Olympic Games in Australia that we went into going like, we're going to win a shit ton of medals. Not just like we've got a couple that can do it. This was the first real like, hey, we could walk out of here with a decent haul.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like this was the point in time where, we weren't going to be happy with like a medal here or there. This was kind of maybe potentially erroneously, but the kind of like, I feel like there was a sense, in some sense that we're going to be right up there. Like, look out. Australia is a really strong Winter Olympic nation. I feel like this really set the bar and kind of moved into that almost like media hysterics of amping up people's chances and putting the mockers on people before things happen.
Closest we'll probably ever get to a home Winter Olympics outside of Brisbane being in the winter, of course, given that Whistler is often considered almost like Australia Junior, basically, with the amount of Australians that go and work there. So, and every athlete we've had on this show from Vancouver has talked about the Australian support there. So, very closely matched one there. But I am so pumped to talk about this opening ceremony because like this is held up really well. I almost want to just say that I don't even feel we ask what order we should do it in because I kind of almost feel we just go like, we start with cultural because that bleeds in so much into everything else that I feel that you keep the speeches and the cauldron at the end And then, I don't know, like, if you guys have any other thoughts on that, or are you happy to just jump straight in?
I object.
You object. Oh, you would, you defector.
Just on principle.
Well, stiff shit. Jared agrees with me, so we're moving forward with this. Throw a chair or something like that. Good news, by the way, Cherry's out of a box. Discovered since I've back here temporarily. The Cherry's out of a box, so he's breathing. I don't know about your cherries, but my cherry is alive and well. So
he's out of reach for me.
He's over there somewhere, basically. Oh no, Jared's got his handy. Yeah.
I actually wanted to get all, because I've got all but one of the 5 mascots. I wanted to dig them out, but I couldn't be bothered.
Where's Muk Muk and everything?
Yeah, and I've got Muck Mucks for both of you to send.
Yeah, still waiting for my Muck Muck.
Eventually send it.
You know, it's just like the box of Cheerios. Jared, have you got your box of Cheerios yet?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Of course he got it.
Good for some. All right, well, let's start with the cultural stuff, because going back to what I was saying before, like this, like I've read people think this is too long, but this to me is what an opening ceremony should be. It's displaying what a country is about and who that country is, and potentially even the city. Like, more so it's about the country, because often it's, you know, the first time a country's hosted an Olympics in a long time. And this really, I think, gives a massive look at Canada and just the diversity and the beauty and the nature and the fun and everything. I mean, I can't wait to get to the closing ceremonies, because the Vancouver closing ceremony is even better than this, if you remember that. But I'll start here and just say that just everything that we get here. So even like starting off immediately when we get like this beautiful shot of BC mountains, we get this snowboarder going down and this very winter Olympic thing. I feel they don't really do it in the Summer Olympics, where they've got to name all the past hosts, right? Like it's all like, Chamonix and Oslo and all this sort of stuff. They don't really do that in the summer runs, right? And then we get this snowboarder coming down this hill. There's a giant maple leaf on the snow, because of course it is, it's Canada. And then how does it start off with? We get snowboarder into the stadium, through the Olympic rings, like straight away you're like, yes, let's do this, Vancouver, I'm on board. And then there's, I mean, a slow bit with Jack Rogg comes in, but we'll get to that's in the other section. There's Mounties with the Canadian flag, which I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts on, Colin, because I know you've got thoughts on Mounties and stereotypes, but this I think is done tastefully. This isn't Dudley Do-Right, so that's a good thing. Then we get a real nod to the Indigenous people, sort of the 4 nations area. And going back to sort of, Jared, what you alluded to with the visual and the digital, we've got literally people on drums, but then you've got this digital drum, which kind of goes with the beat with these projections on the thing. You've got these giant like totem statues, and living in that area, living in BC, I was obsessed with totems. I love all things totems, even recently connecting through Vancouver on the way back to Australia. Totems galore, absolutely love them. And this obviously leads into the athletes parade and how they're doing that sort of stuff. Everybody's happy. They're loving it. They balance it out. And after we get the athletes parade, we get into just like, as of now, everything that we've covered on all these. And I'm not saying it's the best ever, because London, Sydney are still to come. But like, this is one of the best ever cultural displays, just from everything that we've got from sort of the Indigenous displays, the way they kind of transition this into like the Arctic, the snow, this giant like towering thing that's come down, the polar bear. I mean, for fuck's sake, that polar bear is absolutely amazing. And the way they're able to get rid of this giant polar bear, get rid of it, and then all of a sudden we're straight into like digital fish. Then there's like whales with water spouting out of their things. There's giant tree bits. There's like Nikki Webster 2.0 to Joni Mitchell. I mean, I love you, Nikki, but like I didn't cry watching you singing Under the Southern Skies. Joni Mitchell, both sides now. Like, if you're not crying, you've got no human emotions. Colin's probably you. We've got, well, like, I don't even know what to describe him. Like, gothic fiddler in a canoe with a blood moon with devil horns. And then this goes into tap dancing. Stole that from Sydney as well, but whatever. It's epic. There's maple leaves everywhere. I mean, what's not to love about that? There's prairie stuff going on with the trees. You've got a freaking slam poet talking about Canada being absolutely amazing. That guy owned the opening ceremony, by the way. So good. And then what else are you going to do? You're going to mix it with some Canadian icons. I'm saying right now, of all the opening ceremonies we've done, is there a better transition from an athletes parade to just icons of that country? It's like, hey, athletes, and by the way, Nelly Furtado and Bryan Adams. And you're like, fuck, that's amazing. In true Canadian opening ceremony style, the song goes on for a little bit too long maybe, and it's stuck in your head. But when you've got them talking about bang the drums a little louder so the whole world can hear, if you get the IOC president with his own drum banging along at the same time, you're winning. All right? Back in Calgary, you weren't having that with Juan Antonio Samaranch, were you? And then to top it all off, the one thing which I'm sure Jared, you remember Channel 9 banging on for it for about a week, Katie Lang giving one of the most beautiful performances ever with Hallelujah, absolutely stirring. Again, brings back...
Is this our only Bond singer to do an Olympic ceremony? Is this our crossover?
I mean, James Bond was in the London opening ceremony.
Oh, singers. As far as singers go.
Yeah, I think possibly off the top of my head, I would say yes, but come back to me on that one. But I mean, just such a beautiful rendition of it. So amazing and gorgeous. And guess what? It's not Imagine. It's a different song.
Yeah.
You can use like inspirational songs about human emotion that aren't Imagine and still get you the same inspiration inside of you. I mean, just no notes. No notes. I'm saying this right now. I'm jumping in. I'm getting ahead. This is my first 5 out of 5. None of us have given a 5 out of 5 for any of these categories, but right now I'm saying it 5 out of 5. Jared, you go first.
I agree with everything you said. Like from like the snowboard jumping through the rings, like hooked immediately. Disappointed that didn't feature somehow in the torch lighting.
True.
But we'll get to that later. But yeah, this welcoming is amazing. I just feel like everything is so like well thought out. Like this, like these First Nations people like welcoming, like going through like the four totems. Then when they bring in even more, and then on the ground, like using like the displays throughout, it's just so good. Them dancing throughout like the entire ceremony too, like props to them while like the parade of like nations is going on. I think one of my favorite bits, like the ice just cracking on the floor. Like I wanted to be there playing like jumping from like from
floor
one
is
piece
lava
to another. Like that was so good. Exactly, that's what it was reminding me of. Like the giant tree, the Irish section out of nowhere with the fiddler. The one thing was annoying me was how many like broken strings were on that bow, and I'm like, really, like, we know you're not playing live, and this is just selling it even less the fact that you have like one string left on that bow right now. But just everything, I agree with you, like the emotion of it all. Even just like when like the roof kind of descends and then it projects you on that sheet, and then you have like all like the like snowboarders and skiers just like doing flips and stuff like throughout, and then like the speed skating segment where they're going around in circles, like just from start to finish, like nothing felt like it was a miss. There was nothing when I was like, this is going on too long, get to the new segment. I hate Hallelujah, similar to I hate Imagine, but here I'm like, it works. It was written by a Canadian, like we'll allow it. It was such a good rendition. Like the whole, like everybody with their like candles in the crowd was just so good. The spoken word bit, which I also hate spoken word, but here I'm like,
I'm usually with you. I'm usually, I agree with that.
I was so on board with that guy. I'm like, yes. I like went between like the emotions and then just like the stupid click thing that people do at all those spoken word things. Yeah, just throughout, this was so good. And I even loved just like the stadium itself, the fact that they weren't using the entire floor space. It was just such like an unusual shape because they'd cut out sections. I just thought everything worked so well throughout. And yeah, it had like such a nice mix of like telling a story, like old and new, like a bit of this, bit of that. Like there was nothing that, like I said, there was nothing that I was like, hurry up, finish. Get this over quicker. It was just perfect from start to finish, and I am right with you on I'm giving it a 5 as well.
Yes, here we go. Look at this, never 5s, and 2 of us are given 5s. Colin, before I get your thoughts, 2 things actually I wanted to point out you reminded me of with the violins. Violin cam, like bow cam. There was one point there was like a camera on the bow, so we were going to see this like, and you're like, whoa, this is a bit intense, but I like it. And I know we get to see him later on, and we'll talk about him in the other section. Donald Sutherland being the narrator of this. Yeah. I mean, come on.
I was wondering if you caught that. Yeah.
Jesus, I know we had the Osmonds back in Salt Lake City for the closing ceremony, but I mean, this is Donald Sutherland, Kiefer's dad.
Is he?
I don't know. Let's ask Noah. Over to you, Colin. I mean, again, Colin, you're the Canadian here. This is your culture. I mean, does this make you feel proud to be a Canadian watching this?
Yeah, I mean, everything here it holds up so much better because this is sort of the transition between Everything is done practical, which I'm pretty sure the majority of Beijing was more practical. And everything's done special effects, which we see now. And this is that combination. And maybe the first time we really saw like a good balance of that. So much of the stuff here, it's things that I've seen a million times, like especially when you get the all the indigenous dancers. You know, I can't even tell you how many times there's like some school assembly on some holiday or something like that, and they'll always bring out indigenous dancers, and you'll get like 2 or 3 of them, right?
Yeah.
And it's erratic. You know, the whole point of that style of dance is that they're not choreographed anything. Seeing them go on for hours, all dancing, like you're like, oh, look what that person's doing, look what that person's doing. Like it adds so much more to it. First with the ice totems. I love that the fact they rise up, but they're in the position of like their arms stretch out. Like it just reminds me like emo tap, emo tap. And there's a couple other moments here which are like, this is not what they're going for, but I love it. Like before we get to the blood moon, you see the performers who are on wires who get pulled up into the sky, and I'm like, this is like, take me to your leader, alien abduction. Like I don't know what the storyline is.
I'm just glad that really the arms, like, there wasn't one, like of all the things to get stuck, right? We'll talk about obviously what's get stuck later on. It's just like one of the arms just got stuck, and they were just like this, like coming up. You're like, oh, that's not
Nazi salute.
Nazi salute, Canada. Oh, that doesn't hold up too well.
But like what Jared was saying about the balance of special effects and everything, you know, during the whale segment, the fact that we see actual water coming out, like, yes, add a real element there that just gives it something else. The ski and snowboard aerial ballet thing, like it may seem like it's just a simple thing. You got these people on wires, but the second I saw people with real skis doing backflips on wires, I'm like, how do they do that with the skis getting caught? That's gotta be incredibly difficult. The speed skating thing was amazing. So the one, I'm going to give my one negative, and I'm going to give my one biggest positive that I have for this. My one negative is the biggest talking point of this, which is Bryan Adams and Nelly Furtado. And it's not the fact that it's Bryan Adams and Nelly Furtado. I mean, I like both of them, right? But it was the most we're here to smile and wave while lip syncing performance that I've seen.
One point I think Bryan Adams, I think the song had started and Bryan Adams is like looking around, and all of a sudden you can hear him going like banged it up, banged it up. He's like realizes he should put the microphone to his mouth.
And you know, for something this big, they're going to be doing a pre-recorded track, right? But there wasn't a lot of energy. It was a lot of them moving around like, I'm Nelly Furtado. Look at me singing the lyrics. Hello, I'm Bryan Adams. I've never seen either of them live in person, but I've seen them enough on TV, on award shows. Like they got more energy than that. So I wanted to see the energy. I would have loved to have seen them do a real performance together. And then the fact that this is a song, it's not the official theme song for the Olympics, but it was one of like those, oh, this is our secondary theme song. I still listen to this song quite a bit.
It's a great song.
And it's an amazing song, but they might have had a little issue where the track was on repeat and it played again, because they looked a lot more uncomfortable the second half, where it's like, you literally just started the track over again because you're trying to draw this out. And I don't know if Bryan or Nelly were aware of that. The fiddle section was my favorite section of this by far. Maybe one of my favorite entertainment aspects we've ever had, for a couple reasons. One, it's crazy. You mentioned the devil guy, which when he first emerges, I'm like, it's Thor. Thor's Canadian coming down from the moon.
Shouldn't be Wolverine.
But the other part of this, the actual guy playing the fiddle, he's actually not quite so famous anymore. But during like the mid to late 90s, this guy was probably one of the most successful artists in all of Canada, which what I loved about this is that I think most people wouldn't realize this style of like Celtic music is enormous here in Canada, like huge, like multi-platinum selling artists, many of them. And this guy, Ashley McIsaac, two funny stories with him. One that I saw in person and the one that I didn't. So the one that I saw in person, when he first started making it big here, again, with completely instrumental stuff. This is his song, Devil in the Kitchen, which was one of his bigger songs that he's performing. When he first came out, you know, when artists are like trying to build publicity, they'll do like the in-store signings in like a music store, and they'll do a performance. So my brother and I are like, oh, Ashley McIsaac, this could be cool. So we went and saw him. This is like maybe 1996, 1997. And they had like a little stage set up that was maybe like 1.5 feet off the ground, right? And this guy was such a crazy live performer that he's sitting there with about 50 to 75 people around him, playing this song, this exact same song, stomping as he plays, because that's the style. And shards of wood start splintering and flying out at people in the crowd. And he doesn't stop. He keeps stomping, breaking the stage in the process. This guy's completely insane.
And 20 people died that day. Rest in peace.
Exactly. My brother and I, we were Mark safe from Ashley McIsaac's in-store performance of Devil in the Kitchen. But not long after this, I guess he got signed in America, and he ended up doing a performance on the Conan O'Brien show. This is like his pre-Tonight Show Conan O'Brien. And it caused a bit of a controversy because, again, he's a very excitable performer, and he's doing full leg kicks as he's performing one of his songs above his head, and none of the censors noticed that his junk was flashed. He had nothing on underneath his kilt. He flashed his junk on NBC, and this caused a bit of a controversy for a while. But he's a very weird guy. Like if you look up some of the stories, when he tried to run for the leader of the Liberal Party,
that's Justin Trudeau. There he is. He was pre-prime minister.
He was almost prime minister. This guy's nuts, and he's one of these guys that kind of, I guess, he dropped into obscurity after the late '90s. But as soon as I saw this performance, I'm like, I forgot he was on this, and I started playing a bunch of his songs for Jamie. Again, most of them are instrumental songs, and she was like, I remember this song. It's so good. I mean, you had all the dancers where at first they had like actual lights, and then the lights turned into flames as they were dancing.
Yeah.
It was incredible. I mean, and also another performer in here, just trivia bit for you. Before you get to Ashley McIsaac's section, there's a very brief moment where there's a lady, blonde hair, curly hair on the piano.
Sarah McLachlan.
That's Lorena she was in there, yes.
Yeah.
But there's a blonde one who came after her. That's Lorena McKennett, who is actually from Manitoba. She's the singer who plays, or I guess sings the song in the Santa Claus when they first arrive at the North Pole. Katie Lang, that's her song there.
She's quite big, Lorena McKennett, though. I've heard I've definitely heard of her before, for sure.
Yeah, well, and again, this one, a lot of these performances you might have heard when you were in Canada, even if people outside of Canada. Sarah McLachlan, I mean, I was never a big fan of hers, but she's definitely like an icon here, and it fits the ceremony. Katie Lang, I'm not a huge fan of. I've never been a huge fan of the Hallelujah song, just because it's one of those things your parents listen to over and over again. But the visual of that performance with the lights everywhere is just incredible. And yes, Star, the polar bear that rises out of stars. Oh, that is a visual. That is like the 1980, or what was it, the Match of the Bear or whatever. But like, no, we're going to do it with like stars. This is going to be a star creature rising from the ground.
The only thing it was missing was, baby seals getting beaten, but that might have just been cut a little bit later on. Would this be the first? Because you alluded to before, Colin, I don't necessarily remember it. Really, the first opening ceremony to really integrate digital projections, because I don't know if Beijing really did that a lot. I think they did a bit. Obviously, they had the running of the cauldron lighting along the top, but I feel this was the first to really do it.
And when you see the guy who's running across the prairies, and it looks like he's super speeding everything. Like, again, you're combining actual elements that are going to reflect better than just somebody watching on TV. It's incredible. And I don't even know if Sochi did that much of this.
I always remember Sochi having a lot more physical than others. But I mean, London was very physical, wasn't it? They didn't really use a lot of digital projection as well. But I guess we'll
pioneer
see that. Just actually, before I get your rating, Colin, one thing, actually, no, I'll get your rating first and then I'll ask this question. Give us a score out of 5. Are you joining us with the 5 out of 5?
Like, the only thing I could deduct points for is the very pre-recorded, rehearsed aspect to Nelly Furtado and Bryan Adams. But still, they had so much fun doing it, you could tell. And the song is so good. I don't mind listening to that. I'll listen to that song 3 or 4 times in a row. So, yeah, I'll give it a 5.
Look at that. 5 across the board.
Song, though.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, God. I mean, the question I was going to ask is, I remember in the lead up to Sydney, it was so much speculation about everything, but there was all these iconic Australian singers, are they going to perform? Are they going to perform? Was there these questions in Canada? Because the one we'll get to about Celine Dion, obviously, there was a big thing around her, but I mean, was there all is it going to be Bryan? Is it going to be Celine? Is, Shania Twain? I mean, Bieber was a baby back then, so he wasn't even going to be Nickelback. But they were in the closing ceremony, of course. I mean, the closing ceremony was the Canadian rock sort of party, but was there a lot of speculation around who would be performing?
All I remember is everybody knew Bryan Adams would be there. It's not like I don't think he was announced, but they're like,
he just showed up.
Bryan Adams.
I'm Canadian and I'm here.
Because when you get a ceremony for maybe a smaller country, anybody from that country is going to perform. But when you get like a country as big as Canada, like East Coast, like Shania Twain, right? Tragically hip, very different from West Coast Vancouver. So you assume, Bryan Adams, probably the most famous person to ever come out of BC. It's going to be Bryan Adams.
And Nelly Furtado's from the island. She's from Vancouver Island, if I'm not mistaken. So another BC one. But then, of course, if you're like Italy, you get Ricky Martin. And if you're France, you get Lady Gaga.
It's Celine Dion.
I mean, she's like kind of French, Celine Dion. But I mean,
she speaks the language.
She's at least...
She competed in Eurovision.
She's at least there, right? She's halfway there. So, I mean, just on Celine Dion, because I'll probably forget to bring this up, but she was slated to sing the national anthem. But she got pregnant, essentially, so she had to pull out. So that's why we got Nikki Yanovsky.
Nikki Yanovsky.
Yeah.
Which she's the one who sings the actual official theme song, Believe.
Yeah.
And that song got so much. You talked about the different networks. This was the only one, at least that I can remember within my lifetime, that CBC didn't get. CTV put up so much money to carry these Olympics. And they played that song to the point where by the end of the Olympics, they start to ask athletes, because they had so many montages to her song Believe. They're like, are you sick of hearing Nikki Yanovsky's Believe yet? Like, they're asking this on the very network that they're overplaying the song on.
Which, I mean, we had that, Jared, I sort of alluded to. I do remember Channel 9 just getting too moist in the nether regions about Katie Lang and freaking Hallelujah. It's like, like during a Summer Olympics when it's usually like, hey, we haven't won a medal today. Let's play swimming replays for the next 20 hours. Like, I swear to God, Channel 9 were like, hey, we're not doing too well in the Winter Olympics. What about that Katie Lang performance at the opening ceremony? Do you remember that? Eddie McGuire, I think, was just getting hard every single time he even thought about it. Yeah, exactly. Shake of the head.
I remember so vividly.
That's it. I think even the IOC, I think I think we all watched the YouTube one, which is technically not put up by the IOC. It's on the Olympic channel. But the only thing that when you type in Vancouver opening ceremony that pops up from the official Olympic YouTube channel is Katie Lang performs Hallelujah at the opening ceremony. I'm indifferent on the song. I totally get both your opinions of it. I like it as a song better than Imagine. I'll be completely honest with you. But it is one of those ones where you're like, okay, it gets played to death. But I think the rendition that she delivers of it is just unique. Like, I know we've had some slightly different versions of Imagine, but it all ends up sounding that. This was just like, way she sung it, and that was live. Tell me that was not live. I can't imagine that was pre-recorded. That was just absolutely beautifully done. The parade, I think we get to that next.
I object again.
Well, you can go to your country that you had on Alex Lovelace's show. What was that called? Remy Casper Stan or whatever it is?
I didn't think we were allowed to stack the odds in our favor. I thought we had to do our own country. So my apologies.
Team up, Colin. We need to beat everyone, all right? We're competitive, all right? I mean, nothing really was standoutish about this parade. I think generally the parades are always going to end up being the same thing. But what I loved about this parade, colourful, very colourful. Athletes were happy, except maybe for Georgia, but there was a reason behind that. I loved the fact that we have these people coming out with the signs that I kind of want to say it was a bit sexist. Why are the men all completely rugged up in these jackets and pants and beanies? And the girls come out and they've got short shorts on, basically with their legs hanging out. That's a bit strange, but sure, good for them. But the way it sort of goes with some of the costumes, I think there was just such a brighter one that we've had more so for a Winter Olympics in a long time. I mean, Germany, as we always know, will end up being in those weird pastel colours, which suited very well. We all know New Zealand are wearing the same black outfit they've worn at every single Winter Olympics since 1924, so that's fine. Australia, we're wearing our lovely grey number, which I feel this is more iconic though. I feel this is one that I really remember us wearing. Tora Bryant carrying the flag out though, and as I sort of alluded to before, you get a real, if you blink and you miss him, you see 15-year-old little Scotty James there right behind Tora. And I don't know if my man Dale was there. I sort of saw a guy that kind of resembled him, but I don't imagine Dale. Dale's too big for these. Dale's off on his island. He flew into Vancouver the day of his competition to win his silver medal, so there was that. A couple of notes that I put down. I noticed Algeria sent a 12-year-old to carry the flag. That was nice. He was, very excited to be there and hitting puberty soon. Ethiopia were absolutely thrilled to be there. I loved seeing some of these other countries that would love that. San Marino, that guy was a freaking homeless rock star with his long curly hair and his bushy beard. I think he was a skier.
I'm glad you picked him up.
I think I looked him up. I think he was a skier. I have to double.
I think he said singer.
He was a singer.
That's San Marino's Bryan Adams out there.
Eurovision entry, basically, going in for that one as well. Clara Hughes carrying the flag for Canada. I mean, I feel bad for Uzbekistan because they're like in between Canada and the US. So basically you get the US, this massive cheer, like USA, yeah. And they're like, Uzbekistan. And there's like 4 people going, yay, Uzbekistan. And everyone's like, oh, fuck off, Uzbekistan, Canada, woo! And everybody just like gets absolutely pumped. I do love always a good crowd reaction when they like cut to somebody important. So like, you know, like they cut to His Excellency Juan Antonio Samaranch on the show Spain because he was still with us at that point. You know, they cut to, I think you see Joe Biden in the crowd. He was there when he was vice president still.
We saw Thomas Bach for Germany, didn't we?
Did we? I didn't see Tom. Oh, I need to go back and watch him.
I'm pretty sure we did.
We had at least 3 presidents in the crowd there. I do love, though, that when Belgium came out, Dr. Jacques Rogge, we need to mention that he's Dr. Jacques Rogge, was just basically like, Belgium. It's like, it's your country, your presidency. Like, come on. I hope next year for freaking Milan that Kirsty Coventry gets a little bit excited when Zimbabwe comes out with all the great athletes, no doubt, that Zimbabwe send in the Winter Olympics. Australia got a massive cheer, by the way, too, which I also really loved. There was 2 things that I don't know if you noticed. The first one, Finland. Did you pick up on the faux pas with Finland and 1 person in the crowd for Finland? So they're out these beautifully ornate like jackets. They've got their black tailored pants. One guy didn't get the memo. He's just wearing jeans. There's one guy on the edge who's just like from Finland. He's just like, yeah, fuck this. I'm just going to wear jeans. And he just wears jeans. Like, you ruined the whole aesthetic of it, Finland. Good job. And then at the end, when Canada are like being marshaled to their air and all the Canadians like, yeah, Canada, woo woo, there's one volunteer who's basically in the middle of this crowd yelling at everyone, going like, no, that way, no, you go that way. And I'm just like, dude, yes. You saw it?
Baldy is my favorite.
Yes.
The bold volunteer. That way.
So angry. He's like screaming at people going like, no, there. Like,
this side, backwards, forwards.
It's not like there's an even more awkward moment, which we will get to. But like, it was just like, what the hell, dude? Like, are you trying to get on TV? What is going on here? I enjoyed it. Like, I'm not trying to bag it out because we touched on like the cultural element, all the sort of the indigenous display people who were on before. Like, it transitions seamlessly into it, transitioned perfectly into Bryan Adams and Nelly Furtado. But they're dancing. There's a guy in the background there, which if you pay attention to him as they're coming right out, he's going crazy. He's doing like the Carlton dance from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air at one point. You know, I can't do it, but you know, yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Come on, Jared, join in. But like he's love.
He's a Jared's just like, no.
That's why I only come on this show twice a year. I'm not doing that dance. But yeah, I mean, look, this isn't a 5 out of 5, and I'll get to my score very soon. But all the love for this, Jared. You're a man who doesn't like to dance, so give us your thoughts on this.
I feel like this was decent. Like, some countries bothered to show up. Like, I feel like it was the usual culprits, like Kazakhstan and Mongolia delivering what I expected, delivering it well. Germany, I just like laugh at the like pink is for the girls and blue is for the guys, and this is what we will wear, and we will lean into these gender stereotypes. I love just watching these ones when we have one flag bearer.
Yes,
it's so good.
Although
I would never get sick and tired of seeing that.
I was just going to add, I think, do we have history? Because Austria had dual flag bearers. I think they were brothers. And I don't know if this is the first time. Now it's normal. Everyone has dual flag bearers. But like, I don't know if this might have been the first ever time. Sorry to interrupt, Jared, but just you refreshed my memory when you said that.
No, but I feel like that's fair too. Like, that's different. But like, anyway, I won't harp on about the dual flag bearers. It's terrible, but it's obviously not going to change. I was with you about this like bold volunteer. He was amazing. And then my other favorite moment is just like the random camera shots in between the athletes towards the end. And then you just have like one athlete just yell at Canada, and then they like cut away.
Yeah.
Like, let's get away from these crazy athletes and go somewhere else because this is not working. But I mean, as far as like creative nations go, it was pretty much a stock standard.
The San Marino flag bearer, Marino Cardelli, a alpine skier. So he competed in giant slalom.
Marino from San Marino?
I didn't even pick up Marino from San Marino. Hang on a minute. Whoa. His brother Sam.
Where was Canada from Canada?
Ken and Ada. Marino, like that. I mean, are they just so proud of their nation that they're like, I know, we'll call our son Marino. There you go. Son of a couple of teachers. There you go. Giant slalom in 2006 and 2010, and was a flag bearer for both of them. Because he was the only competitor for both of them. This guy is just like, what's the Eurovision singer, Jared from San Marino?
Oh, Valentina.
This is the Valentina of the Olympics. There he is. Marina, not even like the shooter who won a couple of medals back in Tokyo, right? Or the wrestler or whoever it was. This guy's a legend. Let's get him on the show. Merino from San Marino. Isn't that a type of sheep? A merino? Merino wool? Anyway, Colin, the Parade of Nations.
Yeah, I mean, I love seeing Clara Hughes carry the flag. I mean, she's from Winnipeg. She had competed in both the Summer and Winter Olympics, so it made sense for her to be there. Plus, I read her autobiography last year, which was just incredible. I mean, when she was at the height, as an athlete of her success, how many issues she had, both like mental and even substance issues. And then the fact that she went into Vancouver, it's like, I want to do like one Olympics and just be able to be happy the whole time and not have any issues. She looked like, this is the most ecstatic I think I've ever seen her see. Some of the outfits actually were a little bit more memorable than I would have thought for this era. Like Andorra, they had like, not ugly Christmas sweaters, but like the actual nice looking Christmas sweaters, just look like snowflake pattern. And they had the matching hat to go with them. Like, oh, they're just for Christmas. This probably was just the Christmas wardrobe that was held over. Azerbaijan was very bold with their pants, or Azerbaijan. This is how Azerbaijanians wear the pants. My favorite though, this isn't just like because the entire stadium stops and they have to zoom in on the flag and everything for Georgia. But they came out dressed as astronauts. Like that is the most incredible looking opening ceremony outfit I saw during this era. Full-fledged Georgian astronauts. I don't even know if there is a Georgian astronaut, but they're ready to go into space here with that outfit. Australia, that jacket looks so. You remember we said about the Lululemon stuff, like, it looks weird, but it looks so comfortable. That looks like the most comfortable jacket. Your clothes never often look comfortable. Like it's not meant to look comfortable, right? But this looks, I just want to wear that thing to bed. But writing Australia on the front, that kind of ruined it for me. Like it's so big and it's, going vertically and everything. And like, that just take the writing off of there. And
stand out. People are probably wondering what the hell we're doing there. So like, I
can tell somehow because we picked white instead of an actual Australian color.
Yeah, exactly.
They wanted to make sure they weren't going to cut away from it. We're Australia, everybody. Look, here it is. Which I don't know if we were going to talk about the national anthem again. One thing I forgot to mention is the extra "O Canada" on the end of the national anthem, where it's like, "We stand on guard for thee," and then all of a sudden, "Oh Canada!" Like, does every national anthem do that? Like, you just end the Star Spangled Banner.
Well, in Australia, we've got like 2 extra verses that nobody knows. So I mean, there's that.
But yeah, like the one thing I really wanted out of this is I wanted more of the Indigenous dancers to be profiled, like get them a little bit closer to the athletes. Show them mingling in there. You could get John Montgomery. I tried to find John Montgomery. I thought I might have spotted him at one point, but I didn't see if he was in there. But yeah, get like more integration. And I think the only reason that bothers me now is because I saw how well they did that in Rio, where I'm like, imagine if we had these Indigenous dancers all kind of doing their own thing and just getting closer to the crowd or showing a little bit more of them. Other than that, I mean, it was fine. It was under an hour, which beats Rio, I guess, by about 45 minutes there.
So there was 82 countries in total. Sorry, Ben, that's the words that I am looking for there. So, I mean, obviously we get about 200 when it comes to the summer. So obviously that's probably why also it is a little bit under an hour as well. But the one thing that I maybe bring it down a little bit on the marks is that the music I think was fine, but like I think back to Pyeongchang, what we loved about that is they kind of used music from the themes, and then we played like Gangnam Style and things like that. That really got it in there. So, and I go back to like Athens when like you got Tiesto doing like freaking DJ stuff going on there. So,
but
yeah, go ahead, Colin.
The one thing I will say on the music, I mean, across the board, and you're the big soundtrack guy on here. I mean, Paris was fantastic, but the soundtrack overall for this is definitely one of the better ones.
Yeah.
What I loved about this though is once it got close to the end and once all the athletes had come out, there's like a very slow transition. You're not just playing the same track over and over again. It's not Bryan Adams and Nelly Furtado. The music slowly starts transitioning into just drums, Yeah. And then you get this drum thing that transitions into other music. The very end of the music here was incredible.
I think I agree with that, but I think also the one thing that slightly bothered me is like you've always got that like sense of anticipation when the host nation's about to come out, right? Like there's almost like everybody stands up. There's that breath of, that's happening, and that's happened with Canada. And like, Jared, you'd remember this. Like, it's such a visual and a moment in Australian history in Sydney when there's that pause. Andrew Gaze comes out and they start playing the music cue of Waltzing Matilda. Like, it just everything hits perfect. And I felt like you missed a beat there, Canada. Like, I don't know if you get Canada coming out to like My Heart Will Go On or like fucking like How You Remind Me by Nickelback. I don't know. What's an iconic Canadian song?
Summer of 69.
Summer of
Bryan
69. Boom, boom. I was the first real six string. Boom, boom. Canada. Like, woo! Like, I mean, give some emotion. Even like Promiscuous by Nelly Furtado probably would have like brought some emotion. Man-Eater. No. Clara Hughes like getting the crowd. I mean, it was Baby by Justin Bieber was only a few months away from being released. Because like boom, boom, whoa. That would have worked. Anyway, that was a note missing there. A couple of things before we get to the reviews, the scores. So Cayman Islands, Colombia, Ghana, Montenegro, Pakistan, Peru, and Serbia all made their Winter Olympic debuts in 2010. Morocco returned for the first time after 18 years. Jamaica and Mexico, first time in 8 years. While 7 countries who were in 2006, Costa Rica, Kenya, Luxembourg, Madagascar, Thailand, Venezuela, and the Virgin Islands did not participate in 2010. I always love these stats, kind of, particularly with the Winter Olympics, because they're always in there. And we should mention, and we're obviously going to touch on it probably more in just a moment when we get to the speeches in the other section. Obviously, there was a real dark cloud hanging over this opening ceremony because on the morning of the opening ceremony, we had the death of the Georgian luger. I'm not going to try and pronounce his name, Nodar. I'm going to start with his first name. Obviously, it's very tragic. I'm sure we all remember that. And then when Georgia comes out, spacesuits aside, the standing ovation that they get is stirring. Like that was something else. So, but let's go with you, Colin. What are you going to give this one out of 5?
I mean, it breezed by, I guess, that you didn't dwell on one country too long. They kind of had good pacing. There's so much you could do that. A 3 seems fair.
A 3? Okay. Jared?
Yeah, I gave it a 3 as well.
Oh, well, I'm being a bit more generous. I'm giving it a 4. I think it was colourful. There was that memorable enough. Like, it wasn't as
and
good.
we got Thomas Bach.
I need to go back and see that because that means we got to see 3 presidents.
I sent the picture. I sent the picture in our chat here.
Olympic champion fencing. I mean, this could be the one. I mean, look, I haven't gone back and watched every opening ceremony to see how many times Avery Bunbridge was putting his ugly mug on screen. But like, I mean, we got 3, like either current or future or past presidents all shown because we saw His Excellency Samaranch, Jacques Rogge, obviously bored as shit, and then Thomas Bach, which, I mean, that's history right there because sadly, obviously, 2 of them are dead now, so we're not going to see him anymore. So, we'll see Thomas hanging out next year with K-Kov. I've been told, are we going to come up with a name for Kirsty, by the way? Because T-Bark rolls off the tongue. But K-Cov, it doesn't really work. So we've got some time to, Kirsty? No, that's dumb. Anyway, move on, Ben. Kirsty. I don't know what that is. Marino from San Marino, who, he looks like? Fall Out Boy, obviously, we're huge fans of Fall Out Boy. Does he not look like the lead singer of Fall Out Boy?
I don't remember what the lead singer of Fall Out Boy
no one does.
Look at that.
Welcome back to 2006. Fall Out Boy are a thing. Anyway, let's do the speeches / other, because this one I think will probably go over pretty quickly. We've touched on the anthem a few times. So Nikki Janoski, I see a lot of criticism about this national anthem, Colin. I didn't think it was that bad. Do you have any thoughts on it, except for the additional "Oh Canada" at the end?
I mean, she was like 15 or 16 years old when she did this. And I hate when people will give extra credit. You get these sing competitions and you'll get somebody who's like, well, that was mediocre. Like, yeah, but you're 15. I'm like, okay, but if this is something you're going to be listening to on the radio, it's got to be better. To me, this was fine. I don't think it was the greatest national anthem I've ever heard, but especially knowing that story that she was kind of a last minute replacement. And her song Believe is just amazing. Like, I'll listen to that. That's another one. I'll probably listen to that more than the Bryan Adams one, to be honest.
I like her. She's had some other good music over the years. So, I thought that was pretty decent. The flag being carried, I was very excited about this because I actually remember watching this live and losing my shit because Jacques Villeneuve was one of the people carrying the flags. So, as a Formula One fan on this podcast, I was just absolutely like, fucking Jacques, there he is. But I mean, what a diverse mix of people, right? Like, I can't remember everyone from Sydney 2000, but I know they were all iconic Olympians, right? Like they were, your Murray Roses and all those sort of people, right? This isn't just Olympians. You've got Jacques Villeneuve, Canada's only Formula One world champion in history. You've got musician Anne Murray, quite a prominent musician. Donald freaking Sutherland's back. That guy's a busy bee, but there he is. But then on top of that, you've got like obviously figure skaters. You've got Barbara Ann Scott, a gold medal winning figure skater. You have a astronaut, basically there, Julie Payette.
Julie Payette?
Was she a 3-time astronaut? Is that how they introduced her?
I mean, sure.
they said something like that.
3-time astronaut, just 1-time astronaut, 3-time. That woman's good enough that she can go into space 3 times.
Triple crown astronauts.
You've got a United Nations mission for Rwanda commander, Romeo Dallaire, because why not Canada? And then,
no, that was the most obvious choice for Canadians.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. Like, Jared and I can look at that and go, okay, cool. But like, obviously for Canada, it's a big deal. When we get to London eventually, they do a whole fucking section on their health system. Like, I mean, that's how proud they are of it. Australia, okay, we're Australian. We can't talk. We did a section on the clothesline that we're proud of. So, I mean, we're so proud of our clothesline. Here's it in the Olympic opening ceremony. But I love that you've got all these icons, right? Like, like legendary singers, Rwandan people, astronauts. But the biggest cheer, of course it is, it's for an ice hockey player because you got fucking Bobby Orr carrying the flag. And everyone's like, oh, Bobby Orr! I mean, you can't not have an ice hockey player. So, I mean, that was pretty cool that you diversify that up. The speeches, we have the minute silence for the Georgian luge, which I'm not laughing at the minute silence, but did you pick the elephant in the room of the poor?
Well, they did it twice.
But the silence, like literally, so you get Jacques Rogge and the head of the committee. He got a bit touchy-feely there of Jacques Rogge. I don't know if he ended up getting Me Too'd for getting a little bit too close to the IOC president there. But they're like, Jacques Rogge is like, oh, yes, and we're obviously very sad about this, so let's observe a minute's silence. A baby started crying at that exact moment. Imagine being the parents of that child. These like billions of people around the world are watching this right now, and your baby decides to cry during that moment. I mean, Colin, you've got children, but like, I mean, what are you going to do at that point?
I was there Sunday when we went to Manitoba Moose, our minor league hockey team. I don't even remember what the moment of silence was for, to be honest, because Remy's talking the entire time and he's bouncing up and down his chair. And at one point during the minute of silence, like, Daddy, is it done yet? I mean,
I felt so bad for whoever had that baby in the crowd. Because you just hear that, and everyone's like, yes, it's a very tragic moment.
So just before I gotta say this because I'm gonna forget otherwise. My mom's funeral, which was like days after Casper was born. Casper is like, it's when the final part is coming, they're looking to the ground. Casper is like, like whining as much as he could whine, and then he lets out the biggest fart I've ever heard.
Wow.
Literally everybody laughed, and I'm like, oh, my mom would have laughed at that, so it's okay.
Light moment at a funeral. Why not? Right? That's what they're for? No. Anyway.
That's what they're for. Just letting out gas.
Farting and
having a good time.
Having a good time. You know that movie
this
Wedding?
Baby could have farted during the moment of silence. That could have been worse.
Wedding Crashers, sequel coming soon. Funeral Crashers. I'm sure that's going to be a massive hit. The speeches were fine. I mean, Dr. Jacques Rogge, he was pretty good. I love your the president of the committee. He was pretty exuberant and pretty excited. Like he said, and he seemed a little bit nervous, but he was pretty pumped for everything going on there as well. So he was doing a good job. Your Governor General opened the games. She was pretty happy. Was there controversy in Canada around who was opening the games? Because I remember back in 2000, the massive controversy was the fact that our Prime Minister didn't open the games, the Governor General opened the games, and everybody obviously didn't understand how the government in Australia works, that our head of state is actually the Governor General, not the Prime Minister. Same in Canada. So was there any talk about this at all in Vancouver, or?
I don't remember anything. I mean, also they're getting, a woman of color up there. I mean, I think it would be pretty, if somebody did try to, no, that's not right. It's like,
put the white man.
Can't complain.
What was your Stephen Harper was the Prime Minister then, wasn't he? Mr. Yeah. We don't talk about him, do we? And then I do love the athlete oaths, and I gave this an extra half a point for this, just because after Hayley Wickenheiser delivers the athlete's oaths, the official's oath guy basically was just like, good job, well done.
That was very good. I love that.
How Canadian was that? Oh, solid job. Well done.
Well done.
Then the short track speed skating referee, Michael Verreau, did it in French. I thought all this was great. I mean, I'm all there for the flag carriers. I thought the speeches were solid. The minute silence was great. Baby crying. And then I gave it an extra half point because of the good job guy. So, and the anthem I thought was great. So, sorry, I'm not forgetting the one I absolutely love the most. The Olympic hymn. That woman was like Pyeongchang levels of amazing. I don't even want to pronounce her name because I'm going to butcher it, but she was absolutely amazing. So, yeah, solid points across the board. Jared, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I feel like this was pretty much as good as you can get it. I feel like the speeches were a decent length. The minute silence was, I think, well handled. I'm including in this too the fact that we get like Donald Sutherland's voiceover throughout the rest of the opening ceremony.
Canada's Morgan Freeman.
Extra points from that. But yeah, throughout, I just think this was well handled. I was laughing so hard at the well done. It is such a Canadian thing, and I just imagine them being like, "I'm mic'd up. Don't say it yet."
What is it with Canadian opening ceremonies? Because we had it back in Calgary. Is it on? Is it started yet? And now we've got well done. I wish I had to queue that up. I could have just, every time one of you says something good, I'm going to get that guy and press the button. Well done. Good job. So good on you. I can't wait till we get to Montreal 1976 and see how much the Quebecois are doing that. Sorry, Jared, to interrupt again if you hadn't finished.
No, I don't think I have anything else to add. It's just like this is probably Nelly. I would say Nelly, the gold standard of what you want to see out of speeches.
Well done. Oh, well done, Jared.
Well done. Good job.
Solid point. Well done. Not how I like. Actually, this is how I like my steak. Sorry, Colin. Yes, over to you.
I don't think either of you caught this, but I'm gonna hopefully blow your mind in a minute here. I'll get to my other stuff first.
Thomas Bach.
So I mean, yeah, the speeches are fine. Jacques gave a good speech.
Dr. Jacques.
Dr. Jacques gave a good speech. Well done, Dr. Jacques.
Well done, Dr. Jacques. Well
Excellent.
done.
So good. I mean, yeah, we already mentioned like the national anthem. The people carrying in the flag. I mean, Donald Sutherland. I don't think I expected Donald Sutherland. I think you're thinking you're going to have very important people. And Terry Fox's mother. I don't know how well known he's outside of Canada.
I know very
Terry
well
Fox. There's literally an annual day for this guy.
Statue in Victoria. We used to hang out near that statue all the time in Victoria.
I was going through my pictures from the cauldron and everything last night, and I'm like, oh, there's Terry Fox statues even around the stadium. There's literally everything.
Do you know who he is? Do you know who Terry Fox is, Jared? Colin, explain who Terry Fox is to Jared now. People who might know who Terry Fox is.
He was basically a guy with cancer, and he decided to do like a marathon across the country. And this is he was, suffering from cancer. And every single year there's a Terry Fox Day where like every school will do like a run. I remember it was like a 1K run or 2K run or something like that. And there's like people raise money for charity. There's actually an incredible commercial that's now being played months in advance of Terry Fox Day in like movie theaters here, which they've like, I guess, used AI to do like a digital Terry Fox. You see these people come behind him. They're playing like the tragical hip song Courage. It's just amazing. Every time I see that commercial, I get chills now. But,
and isn't it also too, did I not just see that similar to us, you're not going to put King Charles on your money. So you're replacing King Charles with Terry Fox, if I'm not mistaken, on your
I didn't hear money. That. I don't think anybody would not be behind that.
I think I saw that recently.
That's better looking man to put on the front of the bills anyways.
My left testicle is more attractive than King Charles, but I've got a good looking testicle. What can I say?
I can't confirm or deny. I don't know what you have shown me on 007 episodes.
If we start off the podium after dark on Patreon, perhaps there'll be a tier for that.
When he gets off the podium's only has to do the high kick, then you've got to worry.
Well done. Good joke. Well done.
Yep. Once we make our debut on Conan, you're going to be seeing left testicles. Okay, so yeah, the speeches are all good. I was actually thinking to myself, well done. When I'm hearing Haley Wick, I don't know if I've ever heard somebody take the oath and sound so like professional and good. So I'm thinking well done before he comes in. I'm like, whoa. We're on the same wavelength
it's
here.
So Canadian. But you hear, I saw a legendary hockey player do something good. Well done. Yep.
So good. Oh, yes.
When Ovechkin got the goal the other day. Oh, well done. Good job. Well done.
I did say I'd mention Romeo Dallaire, one of the guys carrying the flag in. So he was the UN general who had the unfortunate job of basically running the show during the Rwandan genocide. And There was a movie that with Don Cheadle that was made about him where they did like a fictional version of Romeo Dallaire. But here in Canada, there was like an actual movie called Shake Hands with the Devil, which was first a documentary with Romeo Dallaire, which might have been the greatest documentary I ever saw in my life. And then they did like a live action movie about Romeo Dallaire during the Rwandan genocide called Shake Hands with the Devil that year after year, I kept suggesting it on the Oz Network when we're going to do the Canadian month. Yeah. But I could never find a version that had subtitles, like half in English and half in French. But that guy's like beyond an icon. He ended up serving as a senator. I mean, he does public speaking engagements, which I tried to go once to, and it was like $500 for like the cheapest seat to see Romeo Dallaire speak. Everybody they got was just like, oh, this is perfect. And them dressed all in white. I'm like, oh, this, again, such incredible visual. But this is where I want to blow you guys' minds, because I don't think you caught this blooper. If you actually are watching this on the YouTube one, right before, I'd say about 10 and a half to 11 minutes, when they start showing the people coming into like the dignitaries box, like, you know, Dr. Jacques and the Governor General and everything, you can see in the wide shot, there's a guy who rushes into frame and he starts doing something. Then right around 11 minutes, as they're zoomed in on the people coming into the box, there's a guy who looks like he is shoveling snow by hand frantically. There was some type of disaster in the box. He's like, get it out of here, get it out of here. It is the funniest thing I've ever seen. I was laughing so hard. And it is so obvious. Like, you could tell he's like, oh, we got to get in here. And at one point, there's two guys in there, and I can't even tell what it is they're trying to clean up, but it looks like they're shoveling snow. Like an avalanche came through a crack in BC Place, and they're like, Dr. Jacques coming in, get it out of here, get it out of here.
Well, I'm trying to see. I'm looking around here now, sort of at the mark. Oh, yeah, see, oh my God, there is a guy there. He's like, shoveling. What's he doing?
What happened? And like right before you actually see the close-up of him, you see the guy run into the box. He's like, oh, snow just came in. It's snow. It's somebody's, papers fell, their speech. This was Haley Wickenheiser's speech. That's why he was so
Napkin Man from Nagano. He left his notes behind.
That's who it is.
Which, I mean,
that is my favorite moment. That bumps it up half a point for me.
Volunteers, obviously. You're shoving athletes out of the way. You're shoving. I mean, it's pretty impressive that they've got snow or something there in an inside stadium. I mean, I know we have that's one thing actually back to the cultural aspect. Like we had like lots of like fake snow falling down and things like that, which is pretty cool. But I do that. And I know we don't often, actually we have talked about lecterns and stages before. I love like the half crystal stage with the Olympic rings that Dr. Jacques Rogge and the others speak on. And I do love the dignitary box. I know one thing when I was at the closing ceremony last year, I made a note to look at the dignitary box, and I was on the other side of the stadium, but it looked epic. So props to the dignitary box and the stand.
And not to mention that the actual podium they do the speeches from, it looks like it's made out of ice, and it looks like it's an ice book that's partially open. Yeah. That's incredible. I want to see that next time I go to BC. Where's that held?
The Olympic hymn, by the way, Meisha Brug Gosman. How's that for pronunciation? A Canadian soprano, both performed as an opera singer and concert artist. So there you go. She's from New Brunswick.
Well done.
Well done. New Brunswick, mention. Have you been to New Brunswick before, Colin?
No, I've never been to any of the Maritimes. No? That's a bucket list of Jamie's, especially, is to go to the Maritimes.
Jared, you've obviously frequent them often. Yep.
Oh, every other day.
Well done. Great work. Jared, out of 5, what are we giving the speeches / other?
I gave this a 4.5.
4.5. I will jump in and join you and say that I've also given it a 4.5. So look at us being twinnies. Colin.
I can't go that high only because it's speeches, but I bumped this up to a 4 because of the snow shoveling guy in the background.
All right, there you go. Okay, that works. Cauldron time, gentlemen. Now, one thing I would add with the Flames, first time ever that we have like an announcer every 10 minutes. And just to let you know, the flame is 12 minutes away. Is this a train announcement? I don't get this.
11:59, 11:58, 11:57.
I do love the montages and the videos. I always love kind of that. And this is apparently the longest ever torch relay done in a single country. I don't know if that's been broken or not since then, but that's a pretty epic sort of record to have. But yeah, I mean, at the same time, it's do we have to have an announcement every 12 minutes and 30 seconds until the flame comes in the stadium? Do they just think only people come to the opening ceremonies for the flame? Fuck Bryan Adams. Fuck Sarah McLachlan. Who cares about seeing all these athletes? Whatever. Who cares? They're only here to see the flame. That's why they've spent thousands of dollars for a ticket in this stadium.
Well, because in the program, it was supposed to be 9 minutes, but they played the Bryan Adams, Nelly Furtado song twice. So they had to tell people, we're up to 12 now.
It's like, yeah, again, the delays keep coming. So then we get the call. Now, this was always, I think, the question around how they were going to do this. This was the big issue around having an inside stadium because there are very strict laws around how the IOC designate a torch is going to be. So they had to be very creative with this. And essentially, they had to create this makeshift one in the center so everyone can see it. And then, as we know, then they had to have an external one essentially afterwards to go with that. So there's apparently all these bylaws and things like that the IOC designate when it comes to a cauldron. So, going to be a bit tricky. But we get this incredible situation where they steal from the Book of Sydney 2000, and there's got to be a fuck up for the flame. And as we talked about this with Rick Birch a few years ago, he set the golden standards for having fuck-ups of the Flames. But unlike in 4 years' time when I think 20 Russians got murdered for fucking up the Olympic rings, in Canada, they just make a joke about it. But we get Rick Hansen, a paraplegic athlete and Paralympic medalist, coming into the stadium first of all with the flame. There he is. Actually, before I get to the rest of it, Colin, speculation around who was lighting the cauldron. We had it back in Sydney. This was the biggest discussion point of everything in the lead up to Sydney 2000. Who was lighting the cauldron? Do you remember that in Canada, or was it just always a case of, we know it's going to be Gretzky?
Well, everybody was throwing out Gretzky. I think the only debate was, are they going to get somebody who's maybe more synonymous with the Olympics and not more as a pro who also competed in the Olympics? But it was like by far the biggest name that was thrown out.
So we're going to get to the great one, obviously. But so Rick Hansen comes in. Then we go to Katrina Lee May Dione, legendary speed skater for Canada, who then gives it to the great Steve Nash, who himself, I believe, is a Victoria local as well from the island. Now, I always question this because going back to your point there about like professional, like Steve Nash, obviously the only Canadian to ever win the MVP in the NBA, did it twice, legend of the sport. But I'm like, but is he an Olympian? He is an Olympian. He played at the Olympics in Sydney 2000. So he is an Olympian. So they haven't just got him because he's a very... This wasn't Paris where it's like, hey, let's get all these great French athletes like Rafael Nadal and Serena Williams to carry the torch. So actually an Olympian. Steve Nash then gives it to Nancy Green, a skier, legendary Canadian skier, who then all of a sudden goes to the great one, Wayne Gretzky, who I do have to say a couple of things about this because they don't announce Steve Nash as Olympian or Wayne Gretzky Olympian. And again, I get it. They're probably not known for their Olympic feats because neither Wayne Gretzky or Steve Nash are an Olympic medalist. But they literally introduce Wayne Gretzky as one of the greatest ice hockey players of all time, Wayne Gretzky. Now, the last time I looked, Wayne Gretzky's nickname isn't one of the great ones. It is the great one. So,
and you know what? I thought they said the great one, but that could just be me hearing I assume they were going to say.
What I'm saying is they say the great one, but they label him as one of the greatest ice hockey players. Call him he's literally called the great one, not one of the great ones.
Yes, but there's an obvious answer to that. He's following Haley Wickenheiser. Well done. You don't want to start that argument with Jacques.
I just think it's just a bit dumb. Wayne's standing there.
Being humble.
Canadians being humble. Wayne's literally standing there going, hello, what's my nickname? The Great One, not one of.
You know the real reason the arm malfunctioned.
Sabotage.
He's a powerful man, Gretzky. He's literally there going fucking fuck this up. I'm angry. And the Great One gets pissed off. Flames happen. That's how they lit the cauldron. It was just anger from Wayne Gretzky basically going on there. But we get these 4 arms. Well, no, we don't. We get 3 coming out of the floor. And then as they rise, each of the 4 remaining, because apparently Rick Hansen's not good enough to stay in the state. Poor Rick Hansen. Why does Rick Hansen not get involved? You can just carry it in, mate. Piss off. We've got 4 other people to do this. Bit mean. At least in Sydney, when they all come into the stadium, they're all standing there hugging Kathy as they're waiting for the water to go up. Rick has just buggered off and gone and got a sandwich or something like that. Anyway, Light puts the cauldron up there. Boof, off it goes. We get the fireworks outside the stadium. But obviously we know the talking point here is that one of the arms did not go up. It malfunctioned. But I've got to say, what I give this points for is that I don't think any of us knew watching this that this was a fuck up. We're obviously watching this without commentary. I mean, even back in Sydney, where it wasn't publicly announced it was a fuck up, I think we all knew watching that live, something's not right here because it went on for about 10 minutes before the thing started moving, right? This was just done seamlessly. Because you even get poor old Katrina there. She's the one who's without a thing to light. She just is obviously, I'm assuming they might have like earpieces in to be told what to do. She just kind of like goes, oh well, and hands like just stands there with the torch in the air like it was meant to happen. All three go up, torch, boom, cauldron, amazing, done. Look, it's not a giant freaking cauldron with massive fire or two like in Innsbruck or, penis legs coming out of it like Pyeongchang or anything along those lines. It's not on that epic scale. But I'm giving this high points just because for what they've got and what they're able to do, you are literally inside a stadium and they're able to do this. Considering what we've seen recently with Tokyo and Beijing and how shit they've been when they've got such a bigger thing they're able to do with, this is absolutely amazing. And maybe I'm also a bit biased because, Colin, as you know, when you go to Vancouver, you can go and see this cauldron. It is on public display down at the waterfront of Vancouver. It's a beautiful looking cauldron. And obviously Gretzky after this took the flame and he went to the waterfront and then lit the outside one as well. They
don't show on the video.
No, they don't.
Did either of you see it? Yeah,
no,
I wish they had.
You hear the public announcer say it, but what I was reading is apparently this was like meant to be kept a secret, but then somehow it got out. So basically all the locals of Vancouver who weren't at the ceremony were basically like, fuck, Gretzky's going to be down there. We're going to see this. So they all rushed down to like the waterfront down there and basically saw it be lit up. But, I mean, I think the cauldron's beautiful. Like, I love kind of the stylized, like, what are they, like, almost like the Fortress of Solitude from Superman, essentially, like these giant icicles going up there. It looks so good. And just the fact that there was this massive fuck up, obviously they make a joke of it in the closing ceremony, but, like, they do it so well in that you just mask it and you don't even realize it. I mean, look, I love it. I love it for what it is. So, yeah, that's my thoughts. Colin, Mr. Canada, the great one of the great ones.
I mean, you basically gave every opinion I have. I just want to comment on the well done, Jim. Well done, Jared, just for pointing that out. But I mean, just commenting on the four people. I mean, in a way, I wish we would have had something bigger.
Than the great person, one. Like who?
Well, I think because this has just become such a common thing where it's like when one person pass off to the other, one person pass off to the other, and like we're not gonna. It's like having flag bearers, like just have one person carry it. And Wayne Gretzky skating it. Although the funny thing about Wayne Gretzky is that by his own admission, he's like, I can barely skate now. He's like, I didn't keep up on hockey. There was when they have those Heritage Classic games, they did like the Winnipeg Jets and the Edmonton Oilers, and Gretzky and Mark Messier and all these guys came out of retirement. Mark Messier's out there playing like he hadn't missed the day, and Gretzky's out there, and the commentators are actually joking about the fact that, well, Gretzky's coming off the ice after 60 seconds. I guess he's getting winded in his old age. But, I mean, obviously it was going to be him. Shirley Doan actually is the only one I've actually I haven't met her, but, seen in the flesh, which I would say that make Jamie laugh. So during the Canada game, she was one of like the hosts they'd have like a night for every province. And she was the host one night and she would, present different acts on stage and everything. And I think she was also the chef de mission for those games. But when she came out, this was not me, so nobody try to cancel me for it. When she came out to introduce, she was wearing a skirt, and even though she'd been retired for 10 years, she clearly was still in very good skating shape. So Jamie's got a video camera, and she's zooming in Katrina Maydon from the waist down. Like, man, does this lady still skate? And I'm like, I don't think so, Jamie. Maybe for recreation. She's like, look at those legs. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. She's taking pictures. Like Jamie was very, very fascinated with Katrina Maydon from the waist down. So the cauldron, I mean, every opinion you gave.
Well done.
Well done. You look like you were surprised for a second as Jamie.
No, I'm not surprised that it's Jamie. I'm just like, you're like, oh, don't cancel me. I'm like, was Jamie being cancelled? Like, I mean, that doesn't sound appropriate. She's upskirting the legend of Canada. Come on.
Oh, that's women supporting women.
Exactly, yes.
Yep. Upskirt, Katrina, woo!
But everything you said with the cauldron, I agree with. I mean, for one thing, the way this cauldron is designed, it's not designed to be completely symmetrical anyways, right? So it's hard to tell. If it wasn't for the fact that Katrina was standing there while the other ones go up with the flame, you wouldn't know anything. And I'm not blaming her. I mean, I'm not saying that somebody should have called an audible, but why not just have her walk up to Gretzky or Steve's podium as well or something like that? And then
she tried, but Gretzky like Bernard, no.
Yeah.
I'm the great one, not the great two.
Not the great two, the great one, excuse me. But that would have been probably the only thing that they could have done, so nobody would have noticed this. Because even if you're looking at it, when it has the proper 4 ones up, it's like, well, it's not like it's the Fortress of Solitude. You're not supposed to be able to tell what it is. But yeah, like this cauldron, the only thing that was unfortunate when I was in Vancouver is that they had like a Christmas village that had been built around this, where you had to pay like a $20 admission to get in. And it was basically just a bunch of shops and a couple of rides. But I'm like, I mean, I could see it from here. I can get the pictures from here. I don't need to spend another $20, which makes me really cheap because they gave us spending money to go to this. So I probably should have. But I mean, it looks incredible. I mean, I think this is one of the best looking cauldrons we've ever seen. And I don't feel like this excuses the mistake. The mistake is there. It's obvious. But the fact that of how I know they recovered from this during the closing ceremonies, like, it makes me look back on this a little less critically.
Which I know Sydney like poked fun at some things from theirs, and I'm pretty sure actually Sochi make fun of it in the closing ceremony from memory about the ring not opening. But yeah, I mean, it's sort of, it's always nice to kind of take a little fun of that. I remember the first time I saw the cauldron was I did a tour. This is like years before I lived near there, but like I did a tour of BC Place, and as you know, that's pretty close to where the cauldron is. So we're like going like, okay, cool, like whatever. I didn't even think that it was there. So we walked around. Obviously, it was around the corner from where we were, and then went, okay, whatever. So then we basically did a lap of the entire city of Vancouver looking for this thing. Realized that we were there the whole time back then. So we eventually saw it. But that was always like my go-to whenever I'd go to Vancouver, like living in Victoria. I was like, I need to go see the cauldron because I know a lot of
GPS is weird for that too. Yeah. We had the same problem. We're going circles around and trying to find it.
And I think they do light it sporadically. From memory, I think they actually lit it during the Invictus games too. But it's like the Sydney one. Like, I mean, the Sydney one's on prominent display right next to Stadium Australia. But I guess it's probably similar to the Sydney one, right? People just walk past it every day and don't think anything of it. The Sydney one, you just walk straight under it if you're going to a concert or something like that. So anyway, Jared, cauldron.
I think I was impressed at how they recovered from this. Like, watching it live, you really just don't notice at all that something has gone wrong. I am impressed by like the flames on the cauldron and just like the flames on the torches themselves. Like, everybody in the torch relay looked like they were a chance of burning themselves. Like, these flames were turned up to the max.
The great one's on fire!
And it is just a really lovely looking cauldron. Like, I think it's one of the best designed ones. Disappointed, like I said at the start, that with the fact that there was no tie-in with the snowboarder going through the rings and lighting the cauldron. Missed opportunity, but yeah, I think overall this is a fairly decent cauldron lighting, and no random unknown children, so that's always a bonus.
It's very similar to Lillehammer, isn't it? Where it's like, just if only that ski jumper had lit the cauldron like when he had it, right? Like, when we get to Barcelona, we know it's going to be like perfect because they actually pulled that off, right? But no, I'm totally with you. Colin, out of 5, what are we giving this?
Can you see what the highest rating I've given is?
The highest rating you have given is a 4.5 for Lillehammer and a 4.5 for Nagano.
Okay, yeah, because I didn't want it to top those. I'll go with a 4 then, just because I don't think it's not
4?
The same league, but for what it is, especially considering the mistake, it's pretty epic.
Well, look, I disagree with you. I am putting this at a 4.5, the same as Lillehammer and Nagano. I think that had the snowboarder done it that way, I think it would be up there with the 5. But I think just everything with this works, and they do with it what they can. And I think everything Jared said, it's a stunningly beautifully looking cauldron. I'm giving it a 4 and a 5. Maybe controversial, maybe a bit high considering my other criteria, but I'm a controversial man. Jared.
3.5.
3.5. Oh, okay. You've gone the opposite. All right, you've gone lower. Okay. Any reasoning behind that, or you just want to be different?
Oh, just like the cauldron itself is lovely, but the lighting could have been better.
Fair point.
And Jamie gave it a 2 because Katrina was wearing very baggy pants.
Well done.
Spoiling.
Good joke. Well done. I like that one. I do have the dudum, but it's a bit further away from me. We have a new champion of the opening ceremonies, gentlemen and ladies. Mainly gentlemen here, but hopefully there's some ladies listening. 50 points this gets out of 60. There you go. So we had Nagano take the top spot last time around, but Vancouver's gone, sorry, Nagano, we're taking the top spot now. So after a long time of Lillehammer holding it, we've now had 2 straight away. So there you go. So Vancouver leads now 50 points. Nagano now second, 47.5. Lillehammer on 44.5. Pyeongchang 41. So the top 4 are all winter. And then you've got to go down to Sarajevo, 38. So the top 5. Admittedly, we've done pretty much all winters as it is, but our top 5 are all winter ones. So there you go. Our lowest still remains Innsbruck at 17.5, but that was Innsbruck. So anything else? Any final thoughts?
We lower that. In retrospect, can we lower Innsbruck?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about Innsbruck. I'm over that one. Final thoughts, Jared. Any final thoughts to add here on the Vancouver opening ceremony before we get to Andrew Hedges here?
It's amazing from start to finish. Like we said, the pacing is great throughout, and I think this it holds up so well. Is that like nothing looks outdated or weird, or the special effects don't look bad. It just is really really well done. Well done.
Well done.
Well done.
Well done. Colin, anything else to add?
I would have liked to have seen at least one of the 600 mascots that Vancouver had pop up somewhere, but that's a minor gripe. I mean, at 3 hours, the fact they put this much in there at 3 hours and everything was solid. There wasn't one boring moment throughout it. I mean, that's definitely a compliment to it. So yes, well done.
Well done. Actually, you reminded me there. We're going to do our 4 little segments. So the mascot, we had no mascot. No sightings of any mascots at all, not even on a shirt.
We had Thomas, though. Thomas Bach counts as a partial mascot.
He's the mascot we all want. I hope that's the mascot for Brisbane 2032, just Thomas Bach on a kangaroo. Can we? I'd be down for that.
Thomas Bach's stuck in a door.
Buckaroo. He's a buckaroo. There he is. Hippity hop.
Because if you see... The funny thing is, if you see the picture that I sent from him that they showed him during the Printed Nations, he looks like he's in a mascot position. It's like, oh, Thomas Bach.
The thing about it, right? Like now that he's honorary president for life, I mean, like, can't he just be honorary mascot for life? I'm putting that in AI. Like right now, you're seeing a clip of this.
You know what?
This is Thomas Bach on a kangaroo, the Barkaroo, the Brisbane 2032 mascot. We've solved it.
We spent an obscene amount of money to get our cherries made. I will spend the same amount, if not more, to get a plush Thomas Bach.
You know when we had, what's-her-face, Leslie Hope on a cougar? How did I get on this cougar?
Oh, yeah.
Thomas Barkaroo, bouncing around. We can have a Thomas Barker koala. That doesn't work. A Bacala. No, that's a dumb one. No, stick with Barkaroo, Ben. That worked. That was funny. Well done. Well done. Well done. Weirdest... Possibly that segment. I don't know what the volunteer yelling or the snow scooping.
I'm going the snow shoveling.
Jared?
I haven't seen the snow shoveling, so I have to default to the volunteer, bold volunteer.
You look, I can't. I'm the deciding vote. Oh, this is hard. I mean, look, it's
the dignitary's box. He's shoveling stuff by hand.
Yeah, sorry, Jared. I mean, I did like the volunteer, but that is true. Because, like, I mean, at least we can just see his angry bald man, whereas this is like, what the fuck is he shoveling? How is it snowing inside a stadium? So, yeah, I'll give it to that one. So we'll go the shoveling man, I guess. That's almost like the milkshake man. Don't say that, Ben. You're going to get flashbacks going on there.
We can write a song.
I guess is the blunder then no, I guess the blunder would be the obvious one, the cauldron.
The cauldron, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that's obviously an obvious one there, Ben. Silly one to ask. And the best moment of the entire, I mean this one's a tricky one. I'd say just the cultural, just everything cultural maybe, or the
I go specifically the fiddle section.
Yeah, fiddler in the boat and a blood. Yeah, fiddle. Why not? Fiddly dee. Oh, fiddly dee. That hurts.
With no junk flashed and no stages broken.
Yeah, his left testicle's pretty good looking as well. All right, Andrew Hedges. We're over to him. So just a point of clarification here that Sydney 2000 is not allowed to be chosen. And I'm going to say that and it'll get chosen. And if you're wondering why, we're going to save that till September this year because it is 25 years of Sydney this year. We're going to do a special sort of month on celebrating 25 years of Sydney 2000 this year. And one of them is we're going to designate our opening ceremony review for that part of the year will be Sydney 2000. So we're locking that one in. And we maybe, like, I don't know if you kind of want to have an executive decision here that maybe ahead of Milan next year, we can maybe do a special on Turin, although I haven't really got it planned too much to do that. But we'll see how we go because we know we never get anything from the 2000s anyway. So put out some juju into the world, gentlemen, because it never usually works. Jared, what are we wanting now? What are we feeling like?
Give me Barcelona.
Barcelona, yes, Barcelona. Colin?
I was actually thinking Barcelona last night, but I'll stick, just so we have variety, I'll stick with my regular Atlanta through Athens.
Yeah, look, I do.
Minus Sydney.
I honestly, I'm feeling London. Because London is the only one alongside Sydney, which gives me both my testicles look good after that. I just
Mr. Bean.
Doesn't he make your testicles feel good? Although I've thrown Paris into the mix, and I'm saying now I don't cancel Paris out because I would like to rewatch that again. But anyway, all right. Andrew.hedges.name /experiments/random. I want a number between 1 and 26. I'm going to press it now. Get random. We get number 1. We've already done Munich. All right, moving on. 26. It is Paris. I have put that out there. Are we okay with that?
You know what? We've never all had the chance to discuss that before.
Is true.
Because even Jared wasn't on the first episode where we covered the opening ceremonies. So I'd be okay with that.
Jared, are you okay with Paris? I know I think we got Beijing 22 a couple of times. No, we're not doing that one. But Paris, are you all right? You fine with that one, Jared?
Yeah, I've got 6 hours of my life.
All right.
So fine.
Paris. There you go. We've got Gaga, we've got headless people, and we've got that Smurf thing that all the Jesus people hated. So, and Celine on the Eiffel Tower. Oh, getting me emotional already. So we'll do Paris 2024, our retrospective, less than a year than it happened, coming soon. In the meantime, we've got so many more great episodes and interviews coming your way. Obviously, the way we're working this schedule out now, you're hearing this on a Monday. So this Friday, we're dropping a great chat. It's kind of harking back to how all three of us started. There's a big Survivor connection to this week. We're talking to Noelle Lambert, American Paralympian, Survivor player as well, which, in all fairness, one of the more modern seasons, which I'm also not completely on top of, but we talk Survivor about this one. But she's been to 2 Paralympics, hoping to go to a 3rd, maybe even a 4th. But also Survivor talked about too. We bring up Jeff Probst. What's not to love about that, right? I just want to ask you, Jared, do you remember Noelle from Survivor? I don't know if you really paid attention to her in the Paralympics or not, but if so, what did you think of Noelle on Survivor?
Oh, she did all right. She, from memory, was she another one who struggled across the balance beam? I feel like that's every season now. Someone struggled with something, and I think it was the inspirational moment. I think she came back and actually won the challenge. So, one of the 40s, they all blend together for me and bring back season names. But memorable player. I literally had to look her up on Survivor because I know that's actually one of the ones in the 40s I've watched. But I'm like, and she made it far too. She did. She was 8th or 7th or something along those lines. Yeah. Colin, anything on Noelle? It's a great chat. Honestly, it's a fantastic chat. So just teasing it out there. Yeah, I can remember when she was first on Survivor and being like, she's a Paralympian. We should get her on the show. And it's taken this long, but I just remember the one thing I do remember about her in that season. I remember the first half of the season, be like, I should like her, but I don't. And then by the end of her time on the season, I'm like, man, she might be one of my favorites on this season. So I'm excited to hear from her. It's a very good chat that's dropping this Friday as well. And obviously we have another newscast coming for you next month. One thing actually, so we're going to alternate sort of every second week of every month. We're going to have a newscast or a review. But what we're doing next month, we're starting a very new, exciting project. I teased about it on the newscast a couple of weeks ago. We're starting our games reviews. So while we're doing these opening ceremony ones, retrospective, we've teased a lot about let's go over all the Olympic Games in history and do a good episode. Well, they're never good episodes, a mediocre. We're going to do a good episode for once, okay? After 459 episodes, we're finally going to do a good one, all right? That's how we win awards. But no, we're going to do a good chunk of research and everything that we don't do on this show. We're actually going to try for once. And we're going to bring a nice format where we're going to go over every Olympics in history. It's going to take us a long time, but we're going to start it in order. This isn't Andrew Hedges. We're not going to randomize these ones. We are going back to the Olympics we all remember watching like it was 135 years. I can't do math. Back in 1896, Athens. 1896. It'll be Colin, Jamie, and I. So Jared's getting the flick. Sorry, Jared. But I'm excited for this because we've talked about this for a long, long time, doing sort of games reviews. And we're going to make it sort of a fun format with some stats and some other things along those lines. But going back to the Jared, you want to join? You sound excited. No, I just said not fun. We're not used to that. Not fun. I know, right? Serious shit. Colin, it's exciting. I'm very much looking forward to doing this. I got a couple of my, almanacs or encyclopedias, whatever you want to call those, from the Olympics that I've been waiting to break out.
see if I can come up with some good stories here. So yeah, it'll be fun.
The beauty of this is that obviously we're not going to then get stuck with doing like an opening ceremony that we've seen in the last 12 months. We're not doing Paris 2024 probably for another 4 years at the rate we're going to be putting these out. So
it's been over 100 years since Ben and I have talked about Athens 1896.
Oh, God.
That's how long.
Well, Jamie's going to wear a costume, so I'm expecting him to be naked with a wreath around his head. The ancient Olympics, right? I might chop my arms off with my buff chest and being stoned. No women allowed in that episode for the first time ever in this podcast. No women. Because we're a very diverse podcast. I think we've had like one woman co-host on this over the history. Anyway, that's coming next month. Like, subscribe, do all the things you do. Offthepodiumpod.com. Get all those links there. And as always, we very much appreciate the support. And the first time ever, can I just say, if you're listening to this, first time ever, if you want to watch an opening ceremony review, get onto YouTube, because I don't think I've got enough editing to do in my life. I'm decided to release these as videos as well. So I didn't tell that to Jared and Collins. They've been picking their nose and like, you know, taking their shirts off and doing everything this episode. They're going, fuck, now I'm going to have to be seen. So
as I've been yawning and taking work phone calls throughout this episode, now everybody's going to see it.
Because one of us has a job. So he's got a...
That's on record of the dancing.
Yeah. Jared, you.
Jared's a smart one.
Now Colin's like, shit, no, people are going to see me dance.
Let's do it one more time. Come on, Ben.
Come on, Colin. Jared, one dance.
Well done.
Oh, see it on YouTube. Jared, it's always a pleasure to get to talk to you a couple of times a year, and I'm glad it's always on these episodes, so thank you.
Thank you. It's been great.
And Colin, one more to go for Canada. We'll get to Montreal eventually, but it's always a pleasure joining you, you joining us on the show.
It's a pleasure joining myself as well.
Well done. Well done. If you've enjoyed this episode, my name has been Ben Waterworth, and if you haven't, well done. Good night.